I'm Ivan Zoot, I'm Clipperguy, and welcome to another Clipperguy Says technical haircutting video. Twihards, are you ready for this? It's a 2-video series. We're going to show you how to cut the haircuts that you know on Robert Pattinson and on Taylor Lautner, better known as Edward or Jacob. You can be on either team, Team Edward, Team Jacob. We're going to cut those haircuts. We're going to show you how those haircuts are very similar. And we're going to show you how those haircuts are very different in terms of what's going on with them, how it fits the characters in the movies, and how you can execute those haircuts on clients and make big money in the salon, because this is what clients are asking for right now. Franco has agreed to donate some hair for all of your educational benefit. We're going to get him caped and draped and ready to go. Thanks for watching. Remember, like this video, follow and subscribe to the video series. I guess if you're on Team Edward, like this video. If you're on Team Jacob, like the other one. Thanks for watching. All right, here we go. The Robert Pattinson, Edward Cullen, Twilight haircut. The strong corner is what that haircut's all about. You do not 90, 90, 90, 90 and round the corner. He's already got a bit of a square shape, and we're not going to need to take a lot of the length out of the top for him. The sides are going to come in a little bit tighter. If you've paid attention to 5 books and 5 movies, you've noticed that this character's hair has gotten progressively shorter. It was a lot longer in the beginning. It's a lot shorter now. We'll be able to come in and taper the back and sides, but don't take off the corner. Where the horizontal top and the vertical side intersect, there's a heavy weight corner there, even in some cases with a bit of a flare to it, as it does in fact get wider. We'll see how to over-direct the interior to create that flare as we cut through it. The haircuts in the movie are defined by longer tops, rougher textures, and softer edges. That's the common element between Edward and Jacob's haircuts. The differences are the Edward haircut has the corner, the Jacob haircut is more rounded with a central ridge line. The Edward haircut is generally finished matte, where the Jacob haircut is generally finished shiny. And you'll notice that in the final results. So if we're ready to go, let's go with step 1. Step number 1 in the haircut is to establish our front length. Comb that front edge down and trim it to the desired length. I don't want to take a lot of length out of him. Length increases opposite the cutting point, over direction. If you want that front edge to stay long, you either comb it back and trim it, or you comb it down and trim it, and it'll maintain its length up front. Set your front edge length first. Part of step number 1 will be setting our top length. I'm going to come into the top with his chin up and his head held level, using that front edge as my guide, and I'm going to cut straight back. Notice my shears, my fingers are parallel to the floor, my shears are parallel to my fingers. I'm going to cut a horizontal line coming from the front edge straight back. When I get to the high point of the head, I'm not going to follow the curve of the head and round out his crown. I'm going to cut level and straight back to establish a top center guide. That'll be step 1. Step number 1, we set our top length and we establish that top center guide. That is now our guide. Standing behind my model, I'm going to comb up, hold up, and cut across. Just like I cut straight and level down the center, I'm now going to extend that out to both sides. I'm not going to round and follow the curve of the head. Elbows up, hands straight and square. Look for a piece of the previously cut section in your fingers to serve as a guide. Comb it up, hold it up, and cut it off. Comb it up, hold it up, and cut it off. Straight up, straight up, straight up, extending that out. Once I've widened my guide, I can split it to both sides, and I'm going to continue. And you'll notice with some of his current haircut, as I come out here, where hair starts to round, I don't follow that. I extend it out. Notice how strongly my fingers point up and out to the side, and I come in very horizontal. And if there's nothing to cut, don't cut. This will leave me the corner strength that I need. And I'll repeat on the opposite side. In step number 1, we established our front length and we created our top length. In step number 2, we leveled out the top. Now, in order to come in to cut shear over comb through the back and sides of the head, I'm going to section off, and I don't use clips, I'll just comb it up and out of the way to create distinction between the top of the haircut and the back and sides of the haircut, because I now want to work in through to tailor the back and sides. So we'll call that step 3, sectioning out the top just to separate it from the back and sides, to concentrate our efforts in the back and sides to taper the perimeter. Section it off just like that between the back and sides and the top. In step number 3, we sectioned off the top from the back and sides. Now it's time to cut the perimeter. We're going to cut the perimeter using classic shear over comb. We're not using clipper over comb because we're not going that much shorter, and we don't want the distinction that the clipper will give us. We want it to remain a little bit softer, a little more broken. On dark hair, we'll go with a white comb. I use a larger comb here because I'm using larger sections, and I'm going to work up the center back of his head using classic shear over comb. We're going to try to, as often as possible, hold the comb at a slight angle. Do not hold the comb completely horizontally. By holding the comb at a slight angle and rolling the comb till the top of the tips of the teeth are tipped out towards you. If the top of the tips of the teeth are tipped in towards his head, you're going to dig a hole in your taper. You want to roll the comb, roll the comb, roll the comb, roll the comb till the top of the tips of the teeth are tipped out towards you. And work your way up the head form, work your way up the head form, work your way up the head form. Notice I concentrate my tapering activities only in center back panel number 1. That will become my guide. I'm going to cut that center back panel until I like it. And he doesn't want to go too short, and I don't want to take him too short. That's going to be a pretty good length there. I'm going to tailor it up just a little bit. Probably shouldn't use that word because that's the other haircut, is the Taylor haircut. This is the Edward haircut. This is the Robert Pattinson haircut, but we're going to groom that in down just a little bit until center back panel number 1 looks good. When center back panel number 1 looks good, we then move on to subsequent panels, and here we go. Notice I've got a piece of the previously cut section in the leading edge of my comb serving as my guide, and I continue to work shear over comb up the head, always with a piece of the previously cut section in my comb serving as my guide. Dark hair, light combs, light hair, dark combs. Contrast in the comb makes it very easy to see the guides and cut. Continue this process all the way around the head, cutting shear over comb all the way up to the top, and just don't get it too short up there. That's where we want to blend into the top length in our next step. But tailor it, clipper over comb, or I'm sorry, shear over comb all the way up. We're still in step 4, and we're finishing tapering the perimeter shear over comb. And we talked about rolling the top of the tips of the teeth turned out towards you. I also want to emphasize when you get to the top of the taper, notice down low the comb is physically in contact with his head. It's touching his head. As I come up near the top here, the comb has lifted up and out and off of his head. That's where I'm building that length that's going to be important for maintaining that corner. It's not just a roll of the comb in contact with his head, but as we get up high, the comb launches up and out and off of the head, and I'm running a gap now between the comb and the head. So it's close and farther away. Important part of the step of number 4. Step number 5, just as important as what we are doing in this haircut is what we are not doing in this haircut. The Twilight haircuts are a little rougher. They're a little natural. These characters have alter egos, or whatever you want to call them, that are a wolf and a vampire. These are not normal creatures. These are kind of rough creatures here. Notice how clearly defined his beard is. That looks sharp, that looks nice, but that's not what this haircut's all about. What I'm not going to do with this haircut is I'm not going to pick up a trimmer to line and edge his haircut. I'm going to soft line his haircut just with the tip of my shears. I want to clean it up and groom it up, but I don't want it to look so clean and groomed that it looks like he just got out of a barber shop. I want this to have a softer, more natural finish, so I'm going to soft line and edge with scissors instead of crisp lining with a trimmer. Very important detail, fundamental to the design elements of this haircut. Shears to point, trim, and detail all the way around the perimeter. We'll finish this side and we'll move on to the next. Here we go, step 6, and probably the single most critical step in the haircut, the transition from sides to top, maintaining the square corner or even a little bit of a flared corner. If you round out this haircut, you blow the whole shape. We square layer the top horizontally, we vertically shear over comb taper the sides with a little bit of an extension out, a little bit of a flare, and the key word, the key element here is over direction. The top, the interior, is over directed down until we see the shorter length at the side, and horizontally, because this is a strong geometrically shaped haircut, the Taylor Lautner cut, the Jacob cut will not have a corner like this. I comb this down, I look for the overhang, and I take it off. By combing it down and only taking off the overhang, when this comes back up, cameraman, get out in front here, you see it's squarer to over square. That would be square, that would be rounded. This is called over square, out like that. That over square corner will be extended all the way out to the back, and we'll do the same thing on the opposite side to complete step 6 to really define the shape. Longer top, tapered sides, square corner. Robert Pattinson, Edward Cullen, Twilight haircut. That's what it's all about. Step number 7 is where we personalize the haircut. We texturize in through the top. How much of this will depend on the density and texture of the client's hair. The tool you use, you can texturize with a razor, a clipper, or a scissors. Again, will be a function of what the client brings you. We're not going to do a whole lot of it here because his natural hair's got some wave to it. It's not hard to mess up his hair. It messes up on its own. If he was Porcupine Boy with totally straight hair, we'd have to really get in there and carve deep with a razor or with another tool. But we just go in, we can come in and point cut. Get my elbow down out of the way for the camera. We can come in and point cut into it. We can chip into it. We can even point into it over the top of a comb. But to break up the top of that haircut to create the wild or the movement or the irregularity that's such a key element of the cut. That's step 7. Our haircut is finished, and now it's time to finish our haircut. We're going to rough dry with a blow dryer in our hand. We're just going to get the water out. We're going to get the hair dry, and since his hair's got a little bit of wave to it, while I'm in there with my fingers, I'm going to pull and torque on it to pull some of that wave out to just get a little straight and a little messy. Then we'll finish it with a dry styling wax to create separation and texture without shine and finish, because this haircut's got a more buff or dull or matte finish to it. Rough dry, and then we'll style. A styling wax that will have some degree of hold without a lot of liquid or moisture or wetness to it, because we don't want the hair to revert and start to curl back up, but that will provide some pieciness and texture is exactly what's needed to give this hair the matte finish, the separation, the texture, and the look we're after. Take out a small quantity of soft wax, something kind of matte, warm it in your hands, and apply it to the hair. Notice it's not going to take on a lot of shine. We're going to get some control out of this, some separation and texture. Notice the importance. See the flare we got in through there? That's the whole haircut, is that squareness and shape. That's what we were after. And when we do the other haircut and compare the two, you'll see how much different that's going to be. Apply that product in through it. Take a look as we take a tour here. We've got that full square corner, that horizontal planar top. We've got that nice taper in through the sides. It's not real short. It's not clipper short, and it doesn't have a hard line and clean finish like a freshly barbered haircut. That's what this haircut's all about. If you're a twihard or if you're a hair cutter that services a market that's full of twihards, they're coming in asking for this look, looking for this feel and shape in a haircut. Now you know how to cut it, make some money. Thanks for watching, and have a great day.